Okay, so I'm going to start. Hi, everyone. Good night. Good night. My name is Nashana. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you. Thank you. I want to say thank you all for coming out tonight to learn. Again, my name is Nashana, also known as Kim. I am based in New York City, New Jersey, and I'm super excited to partner with Il Maquillage to give this class tonight. Okay, enough about me. Let's get a little background on Il Maquillage. They are a tech-focused beauty brand that uses technology to transform your experience of buying makeup online. And if you've been on their website, you probably came across the Power Match quiz, which is super accurate. It's crazy how they ask the right amount of questions and match you up with your perfect match. Okay. So tonight I'll be doing a simple but sultry smoky eye look. Smoky eye is a very classic go-to makeup look, and I'll be showing you the different products to use to achieve a subtle look and how to transform that subtle look into a more dramatic nighttime look. Okay, so get your makeup ready and let's do this together. So a few products I'm going to use are the FM Flawless Concealer. I'll also be using a Color Boss Squad. This is like a 4-color palette. And I'll also be using the Icon Mascara in black and the Incliner in black. All right. So the first step before you start applying anything on your eyes, you want to make sure that you create a smooth base. You prime your eyes. Now, if you don't have a primer, you could use a concealer, and that's what I'll be using tonight. The shade I'm using is shade 13, and this is just going to give your eyes an even tone and actually help that eyeshadow to sit well on your eyes, to make it last longer, to make the color look more vibrant. So I'm just going to tap a little bit on my lid. And I'm going to blend that out with my ring finger. And why I'm using this finger is because it has the least amount of pressure and is actually warming up that concealer a bit for me. So if you have a blending brush, you could also use a blending brush. It does the same thing. Again, I prefer using my finger to tap on that primer, that concealer in this case. And you see it already lighten up that area, which is perfect for applying the eyeshadow. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And again, using my ring finger to tap it out. And yeah, this concealer, I actually also use this concealer under my eyes to highlight down the bridge of my nose, my forehead, and my chin. So it's very lightweight, it's all around. You can use it for a lot of different things. That's the beauty about this concealer. It doesn't crack, it doesn't crease. All right, so to begin the smoky eye look, you're going to need a blending brush, a small blending brush, and we're going to pick up this palette, and I'm using the Workaholic Palette, and I'm going to go in with this darker shade first, and we're just going to create an outer V with this color. So I'm just going to rub a little bit into that. Yeah, the concealer actually helps the eyeshadow from creasing on your eye. Again, if you have an eyeshadow primer or an eyeshadow base, you could also use that. But in place of that, I'm using the concealer. It works. It does pretty much the same thing as the primer. Again, I'm just picking up that darker shade, and then I'm just going to create an outer V. And if you don't know where your crease area is, that dent right above your eyeball, that's considered your crease area. And the outer V of your eye is just going to follow that lower lash line and come all the way up and just drag that around into that crease area. And I'm going to do the same thing to the next side. So just think of an open V. Perfect. So on top of that V, I'm going to apply this warmer color tone. It's a subtle brown. And I'm picking up a different blending brush. And I'm just going to blend that into right over the crease area. So again, I'm just taking up a warmer color. This color is normally going to be close to your skin tone. And this is just going to add a bit of a transition in between your brow bone and that crease color. So I'm just tapping a little bit and I'm just going to swipe that directly over the crease color. And this is looking really pretty. It's actually adding a little bit of color and warmth. Now this color, you want to drag this color all the way into the inner crease of the eye. Now this look is going to be a little bit more subtle because again, I'm going to transform this daytime smoky into a nighttime smoky. So this is going to be a little bit on the subtle side, and I'm going to show you how to actually make that smoky eye be a little bit more dramatic for a nighttime look. The name of this palette is Workaholic. Okay. So now I'm going to apply a lid color. And this is the color that you're going to apply all over your eyes. Another tip, you could use your finger or you could also use a eyeshadow brush. In this case, I'm just going to use a flat eyeshadow brush. And for the dramatic look, I'll use my finger for the lid color. The foundation shade I use is 195. So when you're applying this lid color, you try not to swipe the lid color back and forth because you don't want it to be very streaky. If you're using your finger, you can actually swipe it. But because I'm using a brush, I want it to be very pigmented and like sit well into my eyes. So I'm just doing small taps. And I'm going to bring this all the way out to blend into that darker color that I created, the first color that I applied. And you want to make sure this area is blended properly because you don't want a harsh line to show up on your eyes. You want it to be like a seamless transition. Again, I'm just tapping, pressing this into the lid. And blending this out into the darker color. And this lid color, you want this to stay beneath your crease. You do not want to extend that too far up to your brows. You always want to stay beneath your crease with that lid color. So the first shade I used was the darker shade. Then I used this warmer tone for the transition color. And the last tone I used was this nice champagne tone right here. okay? So I'm going to apply, remember this is daytime, so I'm keeping it a little simple, and then we'll go a little bit more dramatic. So I'm just gonna apply a little bit of the Incliner to the lash line, and I'm going to keep this very close to the lash line because it's daytime. So I'm actually not going to create a very in-depth line right now. I'm gonna keep it very subtle and again, very close to the lash line. And when you're going to the outer areas of your face, of your eyes, you could go a little bit bigger with that Incliner. And as you go in to the inner corners of your eyes, you wanna make sure that line is a little bit thinner. Oh yes, I'm 195 in foundation and I'm number 13 in the concealer. Again, I'm placing this very, very close to the lash line because we're trying to create a very subtle daytime look. And if you don't have a steady hand, a quick way to get a very precise line is actually pulling up on the outer part of your eye and try to, you know, make a straighter line. That's if you have a shaky hand. So now I'm going to apply a little bit of the Icon mascara in black. So I pretty much love this mascara. Even when I'm not wearing makeup, I like to have a little bit of mascara on. And this really gives me enough volume. It does not cake up on you. As you can see, it's very, very beautiful. Oops, and I got a smudge. So if this ever happens to you, you get a little smudge with your mascara, I just go over with a little concealer, just tap it right in the area, and I'm just going to blend that out. No, I don't use an eyelash curler because when I'm going for a more dramatic look, I just throw some strip lashes on and just call it a day. Okay, so now this is a very simple smoky eye for daytime. Now we're gonna bring it up a notch and we're gonna go to the more dramatic side. So I'm going to dip into another palette, and this palette is the Hustler palette. I'm only going to use this palette for the darker shades. I'm still going to stick to the Workaholic in the more subtle shade for the lid color. So you're gonna take a small brush. Yes, I'm going to use the mascara on the lower lash line for the more dramatic look. So I'm taking this small brush, and again, for your crease, I'm going to create a very dramatic V with the black shadow. And again, you need a very small brush, and you're just going to shape out that V. And again, this V is going to stay in that crease area. You try not to, you know, bring this darker color too high, or, you know, it will really mess up what you're really trying to do with this smoky effect. put a little bit more. Okay, so now we're going to take the blending brush, which is very, very important when you're trying to create a smoky effect. You have to blend, blend, blend. Now, as you can see, this got very dramatic in 3 seconds. So now we're going to blend this out a lot. Try to get rid of all the harsh lines that's showing up. And for blending, I'm using small circular motion just to get that color spreaded evenly out. And for the outer part, I'm just creating a smudge back and forth. As you can see, the difference is really starting to smudge out and look very, very dramatic, and I'm loving it. This is a blending brush I'm using. These are the Sigma brushes. Okay, so that's the V for the more dramatic. I'm going to actually finish this eye first, and then we'll go to the next eye. So again, I'm going into this first palette, which is the Workaholic, and I'm going into this warmer tone just to create a transition between the brow bone and this darker color. Because you never want that color to be too harsh, you always want to have, you know, a smooth transition between everything that you're doing. So since I have a very light, I use the FM Flawless Concealer in my brow bone area. I'm going to use a warmer tone to be a transitioning color, and that will transition down into this darker shade. So I'm putting this right above that dark color, but not close to that brow bone area. My eyes aren't as smooth as yours. What do you recommend for eyes that are double creased? Do you have hooded eyes, Jade K? Are you saying your eyes are hooded? Like, do you have like a covering over your eye? Okay, so if you have hooded eyes, you want to, your crease area is naturally going to have a droop. So you want to apply your eyeshadows a little bit higher, meaning like my crease area, I have almond eyes. So my eyes are perfect for like any kind of eyeshadow. So if you have hooded eyes, this area is naturally drooped a little bit. So you want to apply your outer V color a little bit higher so it opens up your eyes a bit. And you want to focus your lighter colors again in the inner part, but your darker colors have to be a little bit over that area that's drooping to actually open up your eyes and make your eyes look a little bit more wider. So I'm just going to blend this out. And again, I'm taking circular motion, and I'm also going back and forth just to have this blended out very seamlessly. And above this, again, I'm applying the transition color, which is a darker, which is a warmer tone, sorry. And I'm applying this directly over that darker color just to give it a bit of a smooth transition. And this can be applied all the way over into the inner part of the eye. Now I'm going to show you guys a trick, okay? So with dramatic eyes, you always want to have a very sharp edge. So I'm going to take my concealer and I'm going to take a small, another blending brush. I have a lot of blending brushes. And I'm just going to tap a little bit onto the brush, not much, just a little bit. And I'm going to create a very sharp edge. So if you have tape or something with a flat edge, you could also get that sharp edge. And then I'm going to go back with that darker color. And I'm going to start from my lower lash line and I'm just going to make it a little bit more precise. As you guys can see, it actually went up very much and I am loving. You can see the difference between these eyes, how more dramatic this one looks compared to this one. So again, I just tapped a little bit of concealer onto a brush and I just open up that area a little bit. Again, you want to follow the same direction as your lower lash line and just drag that all the way out. And then I'm just going to go over with that black color again. And that's how you quickly transform a more subtle smoky eye into a more dramatic smoky eye. Now we're going to go more into the lash line area. So we're going to take that same dark shade, the first brown shade that we used, and we're going to smudge this into the lower lash line. Now I'm using a flat brush, and I'm just dipping that into the shadow. And I'm actually going to line my lower lash line area with this brown. And I'm going to go over that with the darker shade, the black shadow. And I don't know if you guys could see, I have a full face of makeup on and I'm applying dark shadows. And there's not much shadow fallout on my face, which is a good plus for me, because a lot of times you will apply your makeup first and you apply your shadow and just say all your face is just full up of different colors that you don't really want. So Il Maquillage has really done something great with these shadows. Just gonna blend out this area a little bit. Now I'm sticking to these two palettes. I'm not using nothing but the Workaholic and the Hustler palette. Now in the inner part of the lower lash line, I'm just going to apply a little bit of the lid color that I applied at the top, which is this one. And I'm just applying that in the lower inner lash line area. And in my tear duct area, I'm just going to tap a little bit into that area also. As you guys can see, like, it looks absolutely amazing. Especially when I draw back a bit, you're seeing the full effect of applying these shadows to the lower lash line. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm using the brown first, and then I'm using the black, and then I'll use the lid color that I use on the top just to put that in. Now I'm going in with the darker color. And you want to be very careful when you're applying shadows, especially to the lower lash line area, because the shadow, you know, tend to get into your eye and you get all teary-eyed like what I'm doing right now. Yes, I only do half of the bottom lash line area with the darker color. You can go all the way in, but because I want my eyes to look very bright, very open, I'm actually doing the lighter colors to the inner part and actually smoking the outer part. Again, I'm using the same color that I use on the lid, and I'm just going to apply this, the inner part of the lower lash line. And I'm not pressing full on with the brush. I'm going very light-handed just to avoid getting too much in that area. And again, I'm putting a little bit into my tear duct. Are you applying, Vanessa says, are you applying brown, then dark on top, then light inside? Yes. So again, I use the darker brown. This is the first shadow that I use for the more subtle daytime smoky. This is the first color that I went in with on the lower lash line. Then I went in with a darker color, which is the black. And then I applied from this same palette, the lighter color on the top to the inner corners, sorry. So now I'm just going to apply the Icon mascara. I'm going to apply this, one second. I'm applying this to the lower lashes, and I already applied this to the top, so I'm just going to apply this to the lower lash area just to create a bit more of a definition. And I see a little bit of product on my face, so I'm just going to swipe this off a bit. Workaholic, Nicole, Workaholic and Color Boss are the same palettes. Actually, they're called Color Boss Squad. The name of the palette is called Workaholic. Workaholic is this, this neutral shade, and Hustler is the darker shade. But they're both Color Boss palettes. One is Workaholic and one is Hustler. So I was doing mascara. I'm going to do a little bit more to the inner corner. And when you're applying mascara, if you want to get all your lashes out, you don't necessarily have to have the brush this way. You could always use the tip of the brushes just to get every single lash out. This is how I tend to get mascara on all my lashes at the bottom. JK, can you repeat that tip? I was saying you don't necessarily have to use the mascara this way all the time to get your lashes out. I sometimes tend to turn the tip of the brush this way, and I actually get all my lashes out. As you can see, I'm getting all the way into this area. It's because I am using the tip and not the full brush itself. And for a more dramatic look, you can apply, lashes that will actually make your look actually go up a notch. If you want to be on the more dramatic side, you could always apply some strip lashes, and that's going to make your eyes look very, very dramatic. Okay. Kimoy Allen, when I try to add makeup under my eyes water and I start to look like a raccoon. I'm sure you don't. Is there a trick in keeping the makeup on your lower lash line and inner corners? So I would recommend, because I get teary-eyed a lot too. So, but I have a very steady hand. So what I tend to do is I try to get a mirror and look directly into that mirror. And you don't want to get too close to the lash line area. Try to line right beneath your lashes as to avoid your eyes from tearing, because once you start tearing up, that's going to actually run on your makeup. So try to get right beneath your lashes versus trying to go into the lash line area. That's if you have, teary-eyed issues. Looks so pretty. Amy says, looks so pretty. Maybe I missed this, but do you apply concealer before or after base? Meaning my face or for my shadow? Again, I just want to go over the steps. I created a subtle daytime smoky look, and I went into a more dramatic smoky look. For the first look, which is the daytime smoky, I use one. Oh my God, my palette got smudged. Okay, I only use one palette, and it's the Workaholic Palette. I went in with the darker brown, which created that open V, the corners of your eyes. Then I went in with a transition color, which is the color that's going to separate your brow bone from this darker color. And you always want to make sure you use a warmer tone as your transition color, because this just makes the eye and the smoky eye look a lot better. It's not, too dramatic, come from something light and then going to something dark. You have three colors that give you a smooth transition: a light color, a more warmer tone, and then the darker tone. And again, the outer V was created with this brown. The transition color was this softer brown. And my lid color is actually this shimmery champagne color. And for the more dramatic color, I only used the darker shade from the Workaholic palette just to create a more of a dramatic effect. And if you want to get this sharp edge that I created, you could use tape. You could even use the palette as a guide. You hold this when you're applying this darker shade. Or what I did, after I applied that shade, I used my I'm Flawless concealer just to clean up that area and just blend it out to give a more sharp, dramatic effect. Then I went in with my Incliner to create this beautiful lash line. The Incliner is very rich. It gives you a precise, sharp line. So if you're someone who has shaky hands, or it's hard for you to get a straight line, the Incliner will be perfect for you. It's very dramatic. It's very dark, and I absolutely love it. And for my lashes, last but not least, I used the Icon Mascara in black, and this actually brought out all my lashes, especially in the lower lash line area, which is very, very beautiful, very subtle, but, you know, dramatic. And I'm going to answer a few more questions before we go. Any questions, guys? Now's your time to ask. What color would you use for lips with this look? Now, I love a red. I will go for a red color just to bring out my face a little bit more. So I would definitely go for a red color. I would not go for a nude color. Maybe in the daytime smoky look, I'll do something natural or just lip gloss. But if I'm definitely going out for a more dramatic look, I will go with a deep ruby red color. Mindy, you're welcome. Nadine, you're welcome. Will Incliner, B says, will Incliner work well with hooded eyes? So no, when you have hooded eyes, you want to stay away from making the lash line area so dramatic. The Incliner will work well to your lower lash line area, but as far as the top, you already have a droop going on your eye, so you want to keep that eye open, so you would avoid the upper lash line area being too dark. Again, you will extend that darker color over the area that's drooping, so you will bring your outer V color, which is your smoky color, higher than where your droopiness is. What is the color on your lips, Tara? I'm not wearing any color. This is my natural lip color. What do you recommend for bags or darkness under eyes? I recommend using the Flawless Concealer. It's very good for covering up dark circles. It's very good for hiding puffiness. It's a well-rounded product to have. And I also use this as my eyeshadow base before I applied any shadow. A few more questions before. You're welcome, you're welcome. Thank you, Mom. Try that for next day, but thanks for your time, beautiful. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, I appreciate you guys coming out, taking the time out of your day to come and learn a few tips. It was my pleasure being here. I'm looking for 2 more questions before I close off. MacGill04, thank you so much. I was clueless with eye makeup. You're welcome. Justa Velez, for dark circles, try the Flawless Concealer. It works well with covering dark circles. And again, guys, you could transform your daytime look into a smoky eye look. It's very simple. Again, create that outer V line with that darker shadow, and you know, your look will go up a next level. Thank you so much for tuning in. Il Maquillage is going to reach out to you via email, everyone who's in this chat. So look out for that email. And thank you guys so much for coming out again, and have a great night. Bye, everyone. Love you all. Have a great week.